We're going to set the field for the Toyota Save Mart 350. The 21st time the NASCAR teams have visited the road course here in Sonoma, California. Hi, everybody. Glad you're with us. Steve Burns, Larry McReynolds, and Jeff Hammond. Guys, we have spectacular weather. We had a 90-minute practice. Marcos Ambrose was the quickest. But, Larry, I know you want to take a look at actually the end of qualifying.
Knockout qualifying, go or go homers. We have 47 cars here, so that means there's 12 cars going after those 8 spots. We don't have a past champion here, so it'll be the fastest 8 of those guys, of these guys right here. And the thing about it, I see guys on this list that are potential to qualify maybe up in the top 10, like David Gilliland, Boris said, Ron Fellows. But it's road course qualifying. It's 1 lap. It is not the fastest of 2 laps. It's 1 lap, and it's 11 corners. And if you mess up 1 corners, you will not be going. You will be going home.
Jeff, we say black is good, brown is bad. Now, Marcos Ambrose, I say, was fast. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, some of the usual suspects. And you say this is a time where these guys can really make a statement.
They can make a statement because, you know, Larry talks about all the fact that these guys that we've got in here, like Chris Cook and Boris Said and Ron Fellows, they're road course aces. I mean, this is something they do week in and week out. To me, Juan Pablo Montoya, you take a look at Jeff Gordon, you take a look at Tony Stewart, Marcos Ambrose. Our regulars in NASCAR have an opportunity to make a statement. They've been fast in practice. They need to step up right now. We've already seen that you can start way back in the field here. Kyle Busch did it a year ago, won from 30th. But today, I should say, they're getting an opportunity, I think, to say, guys, you got to get up here and get around me now. You got to run me down. So getting a good qualifying lap down is important from that reason, and if nothing else, just to be able to make sure they've got to catch you and pass you, which we've seen on this race course. It's very difficult to do. So for some reason, if you can wind up on the pole and put some of your stiffest competitors back there about 20th or 21st, it's hard to get up there and wear your equipment out, you know, getting to you. So, I mean, qualifying, pit road's important, but track position is what you're looking for.
Putting pressure on the rest of the field.
Exactly.
We're through 15 races of this 2009 season, guys. Let's take a look at our championship point standings. And Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, they're at the front. But, Larry, you said earlier today, getting in that top 12 is really a dogfight.
Well, we've got 11 races to the chase, including this road course and Watkins Glen in August. And when you look position 5th through 14th, those 10 teams, they're only separated by 167 points. And of those 10 drivers, only 3 have won on a road course. So I just think we have the potential for the first time since this chase came about to have a dogfight all the way to the very end.
Well, I like what's going to happen here as far as the fact that it's time opportunity for guys like Marcos Ambrose, Casey Kane, Juan Pablo Montoya to claw up into that top 12 if they're lucky, Steve.
Well, stay with us here on Speed. We're going to have qualifying here at the Infineon Raceway. NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying on Speed is presented by Subway. Try the tangy new Subway Tuscan Chicken Melt, the newest fresh fit choice. Subway, eat fresh. Brought to you by Hand Cook. Tame the road with Hand Cook tires. Beautiful weather here in Sonoma, California. The first driver out, 28-year-old Denny Hamlin. Hamlin will be followed by Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, and Carl Edwards.
Now let's explain how they come to take the green flag here. You don't get the benefit of going all the way around this 1.99 11-turn road course. What they do, they go up the drag strip, and they come in up there about turn 9. And they only get the benefit of going down through the S's and through turn 11 and then up the front stretch here to take the green flag.
And Larry, with this new tire that Goodyear brought, talking to several drivers, the tire seems like it's a little bit grippier than the one we had a year ago. And the key thing is, Steve, you don't want to knock too much new off these tires. You want to try to take care of them. So being able to come up there on through the S's like they are and come down through turn 11 and take the green, you got to be, I think, careful not to abuse us. Not like we were at Michigan a week ago where you're talking about momentum. You come off of turn 11, you got plenty of time to get the momentum rolling.
I always like to ask you guys about places on this track to attack it, to be aggressive. We know where the passing zones are on Sunday, but how about on Friday?
Well, I think, you know, right in this area right here, how you get through this corner here is so important because this is what builds your speed and momentum down through these S's, through turn 8, 9, and headed down to turn 10. You carry a lot of speed from right here down there to turn 10. It's one of the fastest places on the racetrack.
But Steve, the thing about this road course, and we're going to see this and we're going to talk about it during this entire session, turn 1. You miss turn 1, you miss turn 2, guess what? Your whole lap is basically junk because you're playing catch up from that point. You need to be perfect on every one of these 11 turns, if at all possible, to maximize what we consider a perfect run. And I guarantee you, even the guy that sits on the pole will probably tell you it wasn't a perfect run.
Now, Denny Hamlin was 21st in practice earlier at 1:17.52, and that's about exactly what he ran on this qualifying lap. Once again, it's just one lap of qualifying. It is not the best of two here at a road course.
Matt Yoakum standing by with Ryan Newman.
One driver always fast on the road courses. Ryan Newman best finished second on 2 separate occasions. You were 11th fastest in practice. Ryan, what section of the racetrack are you concerned with the most here with your qualifying effort?
Actually, the high-speed stuff was what we were working on the most. You know, the S is the back part of the course, and Haas Automation Chevrolet was pretty good. We worked on it more so in race room. We actually only did one qualifying run. We got out just enough to get a half lap into our second one. So I think the car's actually pretty good. I don't know what we're going to be in a grand scheme of things, but just look forward to a top 10 start.
One thing you always see here at the racetrack, if you look at Ryan's steering wheel right in the center column, a map of the racetrack. So many drivers put a map on there, Larry, Mack, and Jeff, so that when the driver wants to debrief with you guys, the crew chiefs, he can point exactly the different areas that he has issues with.
Yeah, Larry, we've noticed from time to time, drivers get confused, especially on road
when they don't
courses.
go in a circle.
That's right.
Jeff Burton went off track in practice. We had a 90-minute practice earlier today.
Now, you heard something, I think, coming down toward turn 7. The engine sounded almost like it was missing. It went, bop, 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 bop. All that was is the rev limiter. You're going to hear that throughout, this entire qualifying session on different cars, because they'll run it through there. And, Larry, we talked about it in the practice session. You use second gear so much, you really bump up into that rev limiter to try to get all you can out of the car. And right now, Jeff's got a pretty decent lap going.
Yeah, right here you get to high gear. As you go through turn 10 here, which is a little bit of a right-hander, you're actually going to go down this short chute here, and you're going to go third, second. Some drivers will go all the way to first gear. This is one of the slowest parts of the racetrack, turn 11, and this is where you have a tough time getting the power to hook up. You can see the car fishtail just a little bit there. Back to second, back to third, back to fourth gear. That completes a lap.
I got an 1840.
Let's check in with Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Steve, I'm down here with Denny Hamlin, who just completed his pass. All right, you're the first guy out there. What do you think?
It's very similar to what it was in practice. We ran, I think, very similar. So I'm fairly happy with it. We usually slow up quite a bit when it comes to qualifying here, but proud of our whole FedEx Kinko's team. We've been working hard today to try to get our car tightened up, and we still haven't gotten there yet. So we got a few adjustments we got in mind for tomorrow.
All right, Denny Hamlin, he's the first guy out there, Steve, so we kind of set a baseline now and start figuring out where everybody's going to go from there. He was telling me he didn't think it would end up a top 10 time.
Yeah, we mentioned that he actually ran about the same speed that he ran in practice. Jeff Burton, that 31 car, slowed down about 4/10.
Kurt Busch making his 9th Infineon start on Sunday.
And Steve, just to give everybody a little bit of a glimpse ahead as we watch Kurt Busch come up through the top of the course here, is the fact that we talk about Denny's time not being as good as it needs to be. We've seen guys get down in the 76-second bracket, so we really expect a lot of these guys to run about a second or more quicker from some of the guys that have cars are working better, and the drivers are a little bit more proficient as far as road course racing is concerned.
Now, Kurt actually won a Southwest Tour race here back in 1999, and then he sat on the pole for the Sprint Cup race in 2006. I believe he's definitely going to be a little faster than Denny Hamlin. What I'm doing, I'm clocking from the start-finish line to up there about turn 8, and he was about 2/10 faster than Denny Hamlin.
He used a lot of racetrack, though, right there in turn 10 and gave up some right there, Larry. He came in and had to soft pedal through that part of the course.
And you can definitely see that's a difference, Steve.
Larry, after Kurt Busch, we'll see Carl Edwards, Elliott Sadler, and Greg Biffle.
And one other thing right quick is the fact that Larry talked about the different parts of this racetrack. Goes to show you, he had a great lap going all the way until just coming out of the S's into turn 10 and lost everything he gained.
He slowed down almost a half a second. I think, like Jeff pointed out, it was right over there in turn 10.
Also joining us in this broadcast, we have the opportunity and the advantage to speak with Kyle Petty.
I'm not sure that's an opportunity or an advantage. I'm up here in turn 2, and I heard you guys talking about turn 1. this is a tricky part of the racetrack because you're coming into this part of the racetrack and it's dead blind. You come around turn 1, you see the car coming out of the final corner there to take the green, but you come around turn 1, the car plants, comes to the top of the hill, then it has to go to the inside here. You see these guys as he comes into 1, he's around the corner, you see him coming into 1, he hugs the inside. He swings to the outside of the racetrack, cuts back across that inside, barely puts his right side, which lets him slip out to the outside of the racetrack. Carl didn't use a lot of racetrack up here. That car was digging forward as he come through this corner.
Hey, Kyle, do you think it's safe to say with double file restart shootout style up there where you're at will be one of the most exciting places of the racetrack all day, especially on restarts?
Let me tell you something, Larry. With double file restarts, these should be premium seats right here because they're all going to end up in these tires right here. I can tell you that right now.
Bowling pins. Carl Edwards was 34th quickest in practice earlier. He ran about a minute 18 flat.
One thing I've noticed about this race car now, we've already heard Denny Hamlin say this. You know, he needed a little bit more forward bite, a little bit free. I'm seeing it also in the 99. He's got a much better lap than he'd ran in practice going, but that car was all over the racetrack as far as the back end. It wasn't really up underneath him digging after he basically left Kyle Petty. He started getting loose.
He rolled out a little early getting into turn 11, trying to get that thing to turn around the bottom and get that good forward bite off, but I don't know if he's going to quite get back. A little bit slower, just a little bit than what he practiced.
Carl Edwards, third of the 4 drivers to qualify here. As Larry Mack said, 47 here to qualify at the Infineon Raceway. Coming up, Elliott Sadler, Greg Biffle. You see Carl Edwards locks him up. Well, that driver, Elliott Sadler, is now the man to beat here at the Infineon Raceway, the quickest of 5 drivers who have qualified.
Must have learned something from Kenny Staples when he had him on the trackside. They got him all pumped up and ready to go. That was a good lap.
Picked up 3/4 of a second from what he practiced.
We'll watch Greg Biffle and go back to Ralph.
All right, we're down here with Carl Edwards, who's just crawling out of his car, and he's talking radio, he's talking with the Ford guys, he's talking with everybody, and we'll see if we can jump in here and ask him about it. All right, tell me about your lap.
Well, I needed one more run in practice. You know, we changed some stuff there for that lap, and I think the car would have been better, but it took me the first couple corners to drive it correctly. So I feel like the second half of my lap was a little better than the first half. It was pretty ugly up there. I was axle hopping and sliding sideways, and I thought I was going to loop it off of turn 4 or whatever that was, you know, to the right there. But I don't know. You know, it's 18 flat. That's what we ran in practice. I feel like if I had to do over again, I could run about a 1760 or something, and that would have been much better. But we'll race now, and we've been great in the race here, and this is one of my favorite racetracks, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Carl Edwards, he's in the show. He's ready to go.
Ralph, he needs to watch his teammate Greg Biffle qualify. He'll see what hopping and sliding is really all about. He was all over those rumple strips up there at the top of the hill.
What does Darrell like to call that? Hospital hop? Well, I'm telling you right now, he was flying, Steve. I couldn't believe that car when he hit that corner. He sailed it off.
Now, you know, clocking from the start-finish line over there to turn 9, Greg Biffle has the second quickest time, and our tracker about supports that.
Greg Biffle, second quick to Elliott Sadler.
17, close to what you run in practice, I think.
Biffle has 2 top 5s here in his last 3 Infineon starts. Finished 11th 1 year ago.
I can't wait till the crew chief Greg gets an opportunity to take a look at this. As he comes in this corner here, he catches his curve. Woo! Not 3 wheels up there. He had it on 2.
Yeah, he cut turn 4A a little too quick.
Yep.
Back to Ralph.
Hey, we're down here with Elliott Sadler's meeting everybody, having a good time down here. You went fast. You're making you laugh over that. How good was your lap?
The car was great. We made we were okay in race trim and not good in qualifying trim in practice. We changed a bunch of stuff on the car, and I think that's a pretty decent lap. I felt like I left some out there, but I gained some in some other spots. But all in all, I'm very happy with it. Should be a good starting position for the Stanley car on Sunday.
Is there one spot where you'd rather leave a little and gain a little somewhere else?
Yeah, it's different each lap.
All right, well, Elliott's pretty happy right now. He's smiling big.
You know, Elliott Sadler in the last 10 road course races the last 5 years, 5 here and 5 at Watkins Glen, he's scored the second most points of any other driver, second only to Tony Stewart.
He's often underestimated as far as a road course racer.
And so is Ryan Newman. You heard Matt Yoakum talk about that. Ryan Newman has 5 top 10s here in 7 Infineon starts.
3 top 10 starts as well.
Got a brand new race car here. Had some problems early in practice. Had a little bit of a oil leak or blowing out oil as far as the oil tank's concerned, and they had to work on that to get the car like he needed it. But he's got a pretty decent lap going here, but he gave up just a little bit through turn 10. Let's see how he does through 11.
Yeah, back to turn 9, he was a little slower than Elliott Sadler, a little quicker than Greg Biffle, and right now he's flirting with the front row. Looks like that's where he's going to fall, maybe right between Elliott and Greg Biffle.
Oh, no.
Hey, he gets to end.
Right at the end, he rallied back.
He beats him by 1/100th of a second in a minute and 17 seconds.
Matt Yoakum standing by with the 5-time Infineon winner.
5 wins, 5 poles here at the Infineon Raceway. And Jeff, when you look at your car in practice, what section of the track did you feel like was the best that you're getting out of the 24 car?
You know, I feel like overall we've improved the performance of the car here on the road course for the DuPont Chevrolet. I couldn't really tell you exactly where we're better and where we're not. Just the car feels just, you know, like it's turning both directions better. It's really pointing well, but it's on the edge, man. It's you know, it's loose in a lot of sections, but we're making up good time. So, you know, this is going to be an interesting qualifying session for us. It's hard to get any heat in the tires in the short little run that you get back down here at turn 11. But guys are doing it. You got to get after it. I made one lap. I thought, man, that's a great lap, and it was slow. I made another lap. I was just driving as hard as I could, and that one was fast. I really don't know what to expect here.
All right, good luck, Jim.
Thank you.
Mark Martin won from the pole here back in 1997, but as Larry said, he has not raced here the last 2 years as he's run a part-time schedule.
So the only time he has in this new car on a road course is what testing that Alan Gustafson and this group did up at VIR.
Jeff, he was fast. He spent some time atop the timing and scoring chart in practice.
And he's got a good lap going right now, but he gave back just a little bit through the S's. Key is right now, can he get through turn 10 and not mess up as far as turn 11 is concerned? Because if he overdrives this corner and smokes these tires, kills too much momentum, and it'll get him in trouble. Larry looking like right now, he just get back to the throttle.
Had to play with that throttle just a little bit, and he gave it up on the exit of turn 11. Don't think he's going to get there, Jeff. In fact, he ends up 3rd quickest at a minute 17.202.
Well, Ryan Newman is the man to beat now, but hang on, because the fastest in practice, Marcus Ambrose, is coming up shortly. Bakersfield, California's Casey Mears qualifies as Richard Childress Racing, Jack Daniels Chevrolet. 5th position, 9 drivers have qualified. Marcus Ambrose, Kyle Petty is going to be a threat for the pole.
Most definitely. You can hear him come up in here, right here. You don't even hear Marcus downshift. I don't know what he does, but as he exits turn 1 here, you talk about Carl. Carl didn't use much of the racetrack. Marcus goes all the way out to the outside of the racetrack. Yeah, I was talking to David Ruderman earlier, and Ruderman was talking about how much he's learned from Marcus, and that Marcus does stuff and looks at David and says, why can't you do it like I do it? David doesn't have near the experience. This guy is going to be a threat. He was a threat last year in the 21 car, but he was smooth as silk up through here. I've not seen anybody through here so far that's as smooth as he was.
Yeah, he qualified 7th a year ago, driving the 21 car for the Wood brothers. Finished way back, but had a top 10 run going to late in the race when he got spun out.
And Larry, watch him right now. He's done such a masterful job at the top end of the course. Now he's coming down through the S's, and a lot of the guys have been really, I mean, very, what I consider radical and abusive with their cars. He looks very smooth. The car looks like it's way under control. Comes through 10. He is definitely on a pole run, so it all boils down to can he get into turn 11 smooth and get the power off like he needs to.
You know what's amazing? His time back to turn 9 was exactly what Elliott Sadler had run.
2-time Australian V8 Supercar champion in 2003, 2004, and he goes to the top of the chart. Marcus Ambrose is first.
And he runs down in the minute 16 range, minute 16.918 for Marcos.
But the thing is right now, Steve, he ran slower than what he did in practice. Looked like a great lap. Here you go, see him coming into basically, which is 4 at the top of the course right there. Gets that car up on 2 wheels.
Let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
Well, we're down here with Mark Martin, who's been nice enough to wait around. How happy are you with your car and how you're getting acclimated to this track?
Well, I was weak today. I got 9 laps of practice. Hadn't been out here since '06, so I'm very happy with that. I was afraid we'd be further off than that. It'll be a mediocre starting spot, and we're going to race hard, fight like we always do. It could have been a lot worse. I felt a lot of pressure. I pushed really hard. Was right on the edge a lot of the places on the racetrack, but I'll get my arms around it tomorrow and understand the car better, and next year when I come out here, I'll feel like it's my own car. I hadn't made it my own yet.
You don't have to worry about him bringing the fight to the game, Mike.
Alf championship point leader Tony Stewart. 2 wins here. Smoke, you made 2 qualifying runs during practice. They tuned it up a little bit more. What was the biggest issue you were fighting?
We felt like we had good balance. We just were fighting a little speed, so we worked on a couple of things to try to get the physical speed out of it. So we just been worrying about handling right now and stepping up for qualifying here and see what we can do.
August 4th and 5th, the Smoke Show at the Texas Motor Speedway to benefit charity. Last year, you raised $262,000. This year, a 2-day event.
Yeah, pretty excited. It was full last year, and we had such a good response that we're trying to make it 2 days this year. And I know they've got 1 day sold out already, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, it's a great chance to experience what it's like to be a driver for a day. You get to go to a driver's meeting, driver introductions, 2 10-lap sessions. I take them a ride, and then they get a chance to go do a victory lane celebration just like we do at Texas. So it's a pretty cool event.
It benefits the Speedway Children's Charities. Log on to texasmotorspeedway.com for more.
And Robbie Gordon clocks in 7th overall of 11 drivers. He won here in 2003. Coming up, Sam Hornish, David Rudiman, Bobby Labonte. Sam Hornish Jr. completes his qualifying effort. He's 6th overall of 12 drivers and the quickest. Marcus Ambrose standing by with Ralph.
Yeah, we're down here. He's talking with his crew chief, Frankie Kurt, and everything. He's been smiling big. All right, how good does this feel? Because you said you left a little bit on the table. How much?
Yeah, I think I left too much on the table. I think Jimmy and Jeff have got some great cars here with the Hendrick guys. And, I just got a little anxious, just jumped a couple of curves a bit too strong, and I just didn't get clean exits like I needed to. I think maybe 2 tenths, maybe need to do a 670 to be safe. But I'm so proud of my guys. We've had a great year so far. We're looking to really cement ourselves here in this championship as a main player, and we get towards it every single week. I get better and better, and I'm just really proud for my team to give them this back. And to Kingston Clark's, it's their head office out here in Oakland, California, and we've got 100 guests coming out on Sunday, so at least I'll start the fun half of the field for them to get the race started.
How jacked up are you for Sunday?
Well, I'm trying to keep a lid on it, to be honest with you. It's very easy to get too anxious because your expectations are high. So for me, I expect the worst, and when anything goes better than that, it's a bonus. So I'm just going to go into Sunday very relaxed, try to tick over some laps. I broke a gearbox for the Wood Brothers here last year, which I still have nightmares about, and I want to make sure that I look after the car for the first half of the race and bring it home.
Guys, he is ready to go. He's basically just vibrating down here. You can see it.
He's fizzed up,
He's
Ralph.
fizzed up.
Fizzed up.
Fizzed up.
Is that your word, Hammond? They were trying to tell me what your word was, and I couldn't understand
It's
them.
an Australian word. I was trying to get you so you can have a little bit of the under, down under.
Let's see, where'd he go here? Hey, let's see if we can find him real quick and see if he can tell me what that is.
Ask him if he's fizzed up, Ralph.
Well, I'm going to tell you who isn't fizzed up.
Let's see. He's over here signing autographs. Hey, Marcus, they're saying you're fizzed up. Is that the right word?
I'm all fizzed up with nowhere to go.
All fizzed up.
Well, Kyle talked about Marcus trying to help David Rudiman, but Larry, as you said, just 13th overall for David Rudiman.
Well, he has a way to go when they drop the green flag on Sunday, and the only way he has to go is forward, because I think David's going to start near the back of the pack with that lap there.
Bobby Labonte up in the Ask.com Ford for Yates Racing. And David Rudiman had to start, crashed in practice last year, had to start in a backup car, did not have a good weekend.
Well, I think Jeff pointed out in our practice show, he does not have a lot of road course experience.
I mean, I hate to say it like this. It'd be almost like taking me and putting me out there to a certain degree. He's just got that kind of limited experience, and it's unfair to expect anything more than that out of him. I mean, it's intimidating when you go to a road course to begin with. If you're not comfortable with it, it's hard to perform at the level that you can. And we've already seen that David Rudiman can run with the best of them. But this place right here is just giving him a fit. And he can get through the race on Sunday and come out here with a top 20. I promise you, he'll be as happy as somebody won the race.
Jeff, Bobby Labonte in this 96 car, until he got to the top side of the S's, he was right up there in the top 2 or 3 on our tracker. Lost a lot of ground coming down through the S's, though.
And I'm kind of surprised because, I mean, a lot of guys, I've always seen them, be able to figure the S's out pretty quick. But if the car's not hooked up, you can't run down through there and wide open it. You talked about it. You get to high gear, you got to get there as quick as you can and take full advantage of it. If you can't do that, you lose a lot of valuable time.
Bobby will make his 17th start at the Infineon Raceway Sunday. 10th overall of 14 drivers. Guys, right now, they're all chasing Marcos Ambrose. He's all fizzed up.
Nowhere to go.
Stay with us here on Speed. Eau Claire, Wisconsin's Paul Menard, the 98 car. Larry Carter is his crew chief, teammate to Bobby Labonte at Yates Racing. Just one Infineon start for Menard.
He finished 34th last year in his only start here. Paul was actually 29th quickest in that hour-and-a-half practice session we had. So we've got teammates going back-to-back here. Bobby Labonte, right before we went to commercial break, ended up 10th.
Following Paul Menard, we'll see Big Daddy Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and Juan Pablo Montoya, 3 Infineon winners in a row.
Now, I'm going to tell you, we'll kind of see what the racetrack's got in it, I think, with those 3 guys right there, no question.
And following Montoya, Jamie McMurray, not too shabby on this road course either.
No, he sat on the pole out here at one time.
Guys, are you watching this right here? This 98 car is out of control just about down to those S's. He's had to work the brakes. The car's been up in the air. It's been loose. See if he can keep it here through turn 10 and get back to the start-finish line. He has had his hands full since he made that turn off of turn 7 down through these S's.
It's almost like he got back to the throttle quick, picked up a little ground, but he had to feather it on the exit of turn 11. He's going to end up 12th quickest.
Kyle Petty was outside turn 2. Where are you now, Kyle?
Okay, now I've moved up here into turn 3, maybe. I don't know. I've driven this racetrack a million times. I don't know what any of these corners are. This is my favorite corner right here. Where I'm at right now is my favorite corner. You come out of turn 2, run down that little short chute, load those front wheels, turn that thing to the left, stand in the gas and drive it up over that curb and up over the corner, and it's blind. Where the camera angle is, that's what you're aiming for when you come up over this corner right here. You're shooting at the camera guy and hoping that the pavement's under you. Then you drive it down the hill, and that's where you saw where Marcus said he thought he left a little bit on the table down there. But this is my favorite part of the racetrack. I've wrecked more here than anywhere else on the racetrack. Maybe that's why it's my favorite part.
Well, Kyle, I was going to say, you're really at kind of like the top of 3 or 3A, as they want to call it, looking down into turn 4, which, again, you got to be careful through that area.
Yeah, call it whatever you want to. I don't have a clue what it is, but this is where you see Jeff. He loads the front end right there, hits the curb on the left side, comes back over. This is a blind corner right here. You can't see anything. He's in the gas wide open right here beside of me, and it just loads on those front springs and then unloads off of them. And that's why this area of the track is so hard, because we fight downforce anyhow, and you fight the front end sticking. Well, the front end's not even on the ground here hardly. This is where all those great shots are that you see the photographers take with the car up in the air. It's coming over this curb right here.
But Kyle, right here is where Jeff Gordon is normally so strong down through these S's. He really gets the car down through here. He's always smooth through this area.
Gotcha.
5-time winner, 5 pole positions, the all-time winningest driver in NASCAR history on road courses.
Listen to those tires cry there, guys. He come through turn 10, headed to turn 11. He's slowing way down, looking for a big run. I mean, he's gotten almost a little bit too hot, but he's trying to get it rolled back up and get it going. He's not going to make a pole run here unless he makes a big jump in a hurry.
Jeff, I think he gave up too much getting into turn 11.
4th overall for Jeff Gordon.
Well, that's definitely one of the bullets that our man that's fizzed up right now just dodged.
Marcus Ambrose said he thought Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson had enough to beat him. He said he left about 2/10 on the table. Well, Kyle, very shortly, Tony Stewart's going to be headed your way. We want you to help us walk through his lap.
Yeah, we need you to critique it because, again, you've been up there and had an opportunity to watch a couple cars now, Kyle. So I'm real curious to see whether or not Tony, can make up some ground in that part of the course, because Jeff really wasn't that fast according to the tracker.
I'm going to tell you something. You know, and I've listened to you guys talk, and I've watched some of these cars run. You know, the Cup guys that run the road courses, some of them set up for the slow corners, and that's up here on the top of the racetrack. As you see Tony come into turn 2 up there. He works the inside. These are the slow corners, and if you can get a car to work through here, you can make some time. The problem is you compromise on the other side of the racetrack. Tony's coming into that downhander. He takes it. Here he is right up over the curve. You see him jump up over the curve. Now he's feathering it. Where Jeff was wide open in the gas right here. He was in the throttle just trying to get it up over that corner, but he was to the gas really quick. It amazes me what they do down there on the other end of the racetrack where he just run over those bumps.
You know, I'm not sure that this group ever actually made a full-blown practice qualifying run in practice earlier. They were only 31st quickest, but he's looking mighty good now coming down through these S's.
Well, right now he carried the momentum all the way up through 4, across to 7, got out through the S's right now, Larry, and his car looks as smooth as anybody we've seen down through the S's, at least into turn 10. Let's see what's going to happen here. This could be the important part.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, to turn 9, he's got 2 tenths on Ambrose.
He's going to need all of them because he gave some of it back right there as he came through 10. He got a little bit sideways.
2-time Infineon winner. Let's see
he's
what
going
he has.
for it. Can he get it back?
It's going to be, I mean, so close for this 14 car. Second quickest, just in front of his teammate Ryan Newman. Minute 17 flat.
And right now, turn 10 is what's been his Achilles heel, was getting through turn 10.
Another look at Tony Stewart, busy on the steering wheel.
Now this is in what we call the short shoot, down from turn 4 to turn 7.
That's what you call a pitch and a catch right there.
Tony, a 2-time winner here. Juan Pablo Montoya, another former winner.
You're going to say, Kyle, don't go anywhere. We got you another road racer coming at you. See what he looks like at the top of the hill.
I know what Juan's going to look like. He's going to be out of control because that's the way he runs around this racetrack. I'm telling you, man. But there you see him. You see these guys, they hug the inside in turn 1. Then they come over to turn 2. They try to get as close and use as much of the racetrack. You see him drift all the way out to the ripple strips right there. This is downhill. This is the part, like I said, I love this part. You just load the front, catch the curb on the inside. He comes up. He used more of the curb on the right side. But I'm going to tell you, he was like Jeff. He was really, really, really smooth through here. And you see him going into turn 4 or whatever that corner is. I apologize for not knowing what it is. But he downshifts, and that car never seems to change attitude.
Well, he's looking pretty good right now as he comes across into turn 7 to start his trip down through the S's. He was 18th quickest in practice in this 42 car.
Juan Pablo Montoya, the 18th driver to qualify of 47.
He's giving some of it back right now on the upper end of the S's, guys. When he get through turn 10, we saw us where Tony lost everything he had gained on the upper end of the course, or the early part of the course. Can he do it through turn 10? He gained back a little bit. What's he going to do in 11?
As you mentioned, Steve, won here in 2007, finished 6th last year, but when he won, he started back in the 32nd position, but a lot of strategy that day by Donnie Wingo, who was his crew chief.
Juan Pablo Montoya, 8th overall. Marcus Ambrose, still the man to beat. Coming up, Jamie McMurray, Joey Logano, and last year's winner, Kyle Busch. Stay with us here on Speed. NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying on Speed is presented by the new Toasty Torpedo Quiznos. Toasty. Team effort, I like that.
We're here for you, Steve.
Know it. With Jamie McMurray, he's been close to victory lane here at Sonoma.
It's not going to happen right there. Just overdrove turn 11. Car got up, and this is not going to be what he's looking for. Qualified or practiced 8th quickest earlier.
12th overall for Jamie McMurray.
And so much of that was right down there in the slowest part of the racetrack, turn 11.
And you can give up so much time down there. People do not realize that you can give up a second there. I mean, in just a blink of an eye. You got in just a little bit too hard. The front end started to slip. You had to get out of the throttle to get it to turn. Really missed the groove, and that just hurts your exit all the way back to the start-finish line. You see, Steve, when we take a look at Joey Logano getting ready to come take the green, as a crew chief, and I'm sure Larry's done it, you get on top of a vantage point, you start breaking this racetrack into segments, and you can see as we go through this qualifying, you'll see where guys are really good through 1, through 2, all the way up to 7, and they'll give it up. So you break the racetrack, you tell the guys during practice, you're good here, you need to work over here. And I've seen more people lose, you know, a second or a second and a half through turn 11. Slowest part of the racetrack, but you just can't get in there, make the car rotate, and get back to the throttle and make it work.
Tell you what, if Joey Logano hits his marks, based on watching him in practice earlier, I look for him to have a pretty decent qualifying run. He was 19th quickest. He's running in the Camping World West Series race here tomorrow. Actually ran in one a couple years ago. Got a little sideways, but didn't really give up a lot of time between turn 4 and turn 7.
He's dead on that pole position. See the tracker in the bottom of your screen?
We've been watching it all afternoon long. Look at kind of slip back here. This is where they're really going to separate the guys who are going to have an opportunity to sit on the pole and not. See that car working. It's really watching out a lot right through them corners, but still, he's battling back, carrying 3 through that part of the course.
Let's see what happens in turn 10. We know turn 10 gets the best of them, but he gets through there pretty good. Now, turn 11. Under braking, downshifting, maybe all the way to first gear. Right here, car, hug the bottom, see if he can get off the corner. It may not be a pole run, but it's going to be a good qualifying.
You heard it right there. I think he spun the rear tires just a little bit. That's what's going to hurt him getting back to the start-finish line.
Nice job, Joey Logano, 19-year-old, 5th overall of 20 drivers who have qualified here at Infineon.
Came out here a few weeks ago with his crew chief, Greg Zipadelli. Let's take a look at this right here. This is up in turn 4, carrying that right front tire, up on the rumble strips. Got a little sideways, but we didn't see him give up a lot of time there. But he came out here a few weeks ago with his crew chief, Greg Zipadelli, and worked with an instructor here, Chris Cook, in a 2-seater ASA late model car. Looks like to me that paid some dividends.
Definitely paid dividends.
Matt Yoakum.
A.J. Allmendinger was 13th fastest in practice. Now KP's out on the course in different corners, pointing out his favorite and non-favorite section of the racetrack. A, you'll have to wave to him when you drive by. But B, what's your favorite section of this course for the fun factor in the cockpit?
That's pretty simple. Any place that this Best Buy car handles good, I like. But no, I mean, you know, the first half of the racetrack I really enjoy. Going through turn 10, you know, that's a tough corner to get right and still carry a lot of speed through. You know, this whole racetrack's pretty fun. I think we've been really struggling. Turn 7 there, just that tight hairpin, been spinning the wheels up really bad and struggling getting through the first part of the S's. So that's kind of what we focused on, and if the driver does his job, we should be pretty good, but that's always a question.
I'll have to give him the King's way.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, to Ralph Shaheen.
We're down here with Tony Stewart talking about everything. You were just saying how it wasn't a really pretty lap, but sometimes ugly can be beautiful, right? I mean, that puts you up pretty far on the grid.
Well, I'm proof of that every morning when I get out of bed, but no, it was, I mean, it was a good lap, I guess, for our Office Depot Old Spice Chevy, but it was the ugliest lap I think I've ever run here at Sonoma. It didn't turn, it didn't go forward, it didn't run clean, so, but we ran a good lap, so we'll take that.
I'm glad you said that instead of me picking on you.
Well, I know his ex-teammate looks like he's on a pole run here, Kyle Busch. I mean, that car has been solid as a rock, and he goes to the top of the charts, the man that swept the road courses in 2008 fastest so far.
He won from the 30th position 1 year ago. Right now, his starting position looks a little bit slicker.
Yes, sir.
Coming up after qualifying, you look at our advanced auto parts menu, you'll see the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series teams at the Milwaukee Mile, 8:30 Eastern here on Speed. David Stremme in the 12 car is the 22nd driver to qualify of 47 we expect today.
David kind of searching in practice. Turn 10. He's still searching over there. He's 39th quickest. David only has one start here a couple of years ago.
Came into turn 10, that car really rolled over on the left front right through the apex of that corner. Looked for a second like he was going to go for a ride.
He's going to be back there with his buddy David Ruderman, it looks like. Yep. In fact, David Stremme is 21st out of the 22 cars that's qualified.
Coming up, we expect to see Kevin Harvick, Brian Vickers, and Jimmy Johnson, who was atop the timing and scoring chart for much of practice earlier today, as we take another look at David Stremme.
We talked about this being one of the fastest parts of the racetrack. You're running probably in the mid-140s, what I saw. He got up on those rumple strips, the car got a little loose. He was, I'm tell you what, you normally don't recover when you're like that through there. Normally you're all the way up there against those tires and those barrels.
He had the right front tire off the ground, almost the right rear also.
Kevin Harvick has 8 Infineon starts, a best start of 3rd in 2006, best finish 2nd in 2007.
This team comes in here probably the lowest they have been in a long, long time. 23rd in the Sprint Cup Series points. In fact, in 2009, he only has 2 top 10 finishes, which are actually both top 5s.
But Kevin's a really good road racer. I mean, he does a really good job at these racetracks, and he's run the Winston West Series here before. I mean, you name it, he's been good on the road course. I think that's really where people started noticing him. But right now, the 29 car is not working, I'm sure, the way he wants it to as far as the first part of this course. But he's got a chance to rally back if he can make it work down through the S's. And he's coming back on it a little bit, guys.
Kevin was 25th quickest in practice earlier.
Kyle Petty talked about it. You know, you may give up a little bit on the slower end of the course, but now can you make it up on the high-speed stuff if your car's working right?
Boy, it just seems like their car, every one of these drivers, not Kevin Harvick, they all seem on the verge of being out of control.
That's a good lap around here, Steve. I mean, you've got to go out here and attack this place. If you stay within your comfort zone and everything like that, you're not going to be very fast. You got to throw caution to the wind, basically try to, you know, tear the brakes off, the transmission out, and shoot a hole through the steering wheel in one lap.
It's kind of mid-pack right now, but 10th quickest.
Let's go to Ralph.
Well, we're down here with Kyle Busch chatting up about the new movies and want to find out if you got a special screening and all that as well. You transformed everything into a stellar lap there, but I saw you doing a lot of this. Is the car right where you wanted as you were describing it?
No, actually, I thought the lap was about a second slower than what it was. You know, I figured, yeah, it's probably about a 60. And they were like, yeah, it was a 60 or 70 or whatever, but I thought it was the other second bracket. So, man, real proud of these guys and this whole Transformers M&M's team. You know, it was definitely a good practice for us, better than last year. You know, we came out of the box struggling here last year, and this year we came back with what we raced last year. It was really good there, the qualifying run. I dumped it off in a couple spots, got loose in a couple spots, didn't think it was that great of a lap, but really pulled one out there, so proud of that. But, you know, go to realchocolate.com. We got our free chocolate Fridays, so I know you've been there, so hopefully we can get everybody else there.
What is he saying about me, Matt?
Well, one thing about the 6 of David Reagan, very fast in practice, but you, like Joey Logano and Felix, came out for a refresher in road course racing. You did the double-seater with Max Pappas. The biggest benefit for you riding with Max?
You know, just seeing how smooth they are. These big beefy cars are sometimes you can throw them around a little too much, and it feels like you're going somewhere, but you're really you're doing nothing for your speed. So, you know, coming out, just getting my bearings straight again, which way to turn, left and right, and up and down, shifting the gears. So our UPS Ford's pretty fast. Hopefully, I can get a nice smooth lap in, and certainly got a lot more laps Saturday and Sunday to do, but I've had a lot of fun so far.
He was 10th fastest in practice, and keep an eye on the 6. His best qualifying start on a road course, 14th at the Glen.
Boys, I'm telling you what, Brian Vickers is showing that being 5th quickest in practice was not a fluke. I believe he may actually do it. He beats Kyle Busch by 0.2 of a second in this 83 car.
So Brian Vickers already 3 poles in 2009, could be a 4th.
Working on the 4th, brand new race car here, and they were pretty excited over Red Bull. They thought they had done a really good job with the road course cars, and their driver did a really good job making a good lap right there. Quickest one so far.
Well, big beefy cars on Free Chocolate Friday leads us directly to Kyle Petty.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'm in the big beefy corner there. Let me tell you this. This is where you never, ever, ever want to run out of gas. This is as far away. Get Larry with his calculator and all those crew chiefs you got up there. This is where you don't want to do anything. But this is where you come down the hill. And I'm going to tell you something. Standing here watching Vickers through here, he was smooth as silk. But you come down this corner, and I see these guys. These guys are on the brakes early. They're trying to get the carbo down. And it's like threading the needle between these 2 pieces of curbing. You see them jump over the outside piece, but you can't jump too far. As you see Jimmy come down here. He comes down the corner, shifts, down shifts. Here he is on the inside piece. He jumps over the outside, but boom, there's a wall right there in front of you. He's got to be smooth on the gas. Jimmy was really smooth on the gas right there. But that sets you up for this corner, which puts you into the high-speed part of the racetrack. This is the last part of the slow part of the racetrack, these 2 corners.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson was 4th quickest in practice, Kyle, but right now he's not backing that up. In fact, when you look at our tracker, he's just barely inside the top 10.
Hey, one note on Brian Vickers. This will be his 5th start at Infineon Raceway. His best starting position, 18th in those 4 races.
I think he's going to change that stat. I know Stewart's still got a long way to go, but he's looking pretty good on that.
Larry, Jimmy Johnson rallied back. He's giving us some up going into turn 11 here, but it looks like the slow part of the course really hurt him. But the fast part, he was able to make some ground up. Whether or not he's going to be able to make up that much to move up as far as getting in the top 5, going to wind up being 7th quick. Not going to be happy with that.
Top 3 drivers right now, all in Toyotas. Brian Vickers leading the way. Stay with us here on Speed. A.J. Allmendinger, Richard Petty Motorsports driver, the number 44. Best buy on the car this week. And Brian Vickers is the man to beat now in his Toyota for Team Red Bull.
Now, A.J. was pretty solid in practice. He was 13th quickest. Trying hard to at least get back to that now. You know, you mentioned going to break that we have 3 Toyotas at the front of the pack right now, and that's from 3 different operations: Red Bull, Joe Gibbs Racing, and Michael Waltrip Racing.
Speaking of Michael, he is in Milwaukee to work in the broadcast booth with Rick Allen and Phil Parsons, Adam Alexander, and Ray Dunlap. Patrick Carpentier is driving his car this weekend here in Sonoma.
As we watch AJ complete his lap, winds up 15th. The one question I got for you guys, where are we this week compared to last week? Is this not real close to the home base for Toyota?
This basically between here and Auto Club Speedway, this is the home for Toyota,
so
no question.
Good time for those teams to kind of step up, you know what I mean?
Let's go to Ralph.
Well, we're down here at Brian Vickers, and we were just having an interesting conversation because the line of the day is I left something on the table. But you're saying it for a whole different reason. Why?
Well, I think a lot of guys have said, what I've heard and what you're saying they've said is that they left it on the table, they hit curbs, they made mistakes, and I just went on the racetrack with just the mindset that we had a great race car. The guys did a tremendous job, and I didn't want to mess it up for them. I just didn't want to make any mistakes. Hit the corners that were important, getting the gas where it was important, get the throttle down, not hit curbs, and not make mistakes. And because of that, when I finished the lap, I was kind of thinking it was a decent lap, but I felt like there was some corners I could have went faster in, but maybe I couldn't have went faster in them, and that's why we ended up as good as we did.
All right, and you know, guys, one of the things too, Brian and I were talking about, if you remember when we came here originally back in the 90s, you got up to 3A and you wanted to get that car up on that curb up there to really get around 3A. Not anymore. It takes the car out of the racetrack. You got to keep it planted now. The new design of the COT.
Ralph, as we like to say from time to time, you slow down to go fast, and that's exactly what Brian Vickers looked like he did, and he put together a really great lap. If you'll take a look at the car, it's not in the racetrack, and he's got his hands full right now. This is John Andretti in the 34 Taco Bell car. John has been up on the curves. I mean, you hear the tires just squalling coming down through turn 10, guy. He can't be happy with that race car.
Yeah, he was the slowest of our 47 cars in practice, but back to Brian Vickers, with that lap he ran of 1:16.475. That's only about a half a second off the track record that Jeff Gordon set back in 2005.
Johnny Andretti, 26th of 27 drivers to qualify. Coming up, we'll see Reed Sorensen, David Reagan, last year's pole sitter, Casey Kane, here from the Infineon Raceway. Brian Vickers, Kyle Busch, and Marcus Ambrose atop your leaderboard for Sprint Cup qualifying for Sunday's Toyota Save Mart 350. You're watching Sprint Cup qualifying, brought to you by Subway. Reed Sorensen, another one of the Richard Petty Motorsports drivers, has just 2 Infineon Raceway starts.
Was 20th quickest in practice. I'm not sure he's going to get back to that. Making his 125th career start here in Sprint Cup this weekend.
Reed Sorensen, Larry, is 22nd overall of 28 drivers. Let's go back to Matt.
And catching up with the professor for a lot of drivers here in the Sprint Cup Series. Max, in the 20s in practice, you come to a place like this that you expect to run well. Is it tough not to overdrive it during qualifying?
I just feel that I have a great crew in the Geico Toyota guys, and my job is going out there and put it in the show. You need to keep realistic goals. You know, for sure, when you're out of the top 35, it's definitely, you can't go for pole. You just need to keep realistic goals, and that's what we do. And I'm excited, but still nervous.
I'll give you some more motivation now. Your beloved Italian soccer team, they just lost to Egypt, and giving you some motivation to go out and really knock one down.
We're going to try. They say, you're going to see the best of me tomorrow and in the race. And today, our goal is making the show, run a solid lap. That's what I want to do. You know, we have a great crew and the Geico guys, and I want to give them satisfaction, but we need to keep, you know, prioritizing and doing things step by step.
It's going to be Mad Max, the e-ticket ride here in Sonoma.
I'm not sure that was motivation. Telling the man's country got beat.
Same thing was kind of slapping him in the face.
Well, Egypt's got a great team.
Watching David Reagan right now, guys, and he was one of the faster guys in practice. But the thing is right now, a lot like a lot of the cars, he just did not get through. And coming off his corner, he has got his hands full. That car is bad loose.
Yeah, that's pretty much going to right there. And the thing about it, Jeff, if you try to start making up for something like that, your hole almost gets deeper.
And we talk about it, Larry. You miss one corner, you think, well, I'll make it up in the next. And you miss the next one, it multiplies. I mean, that's what is the one bad thing about a road course opportunity. You think 11 turns, I'll make something up there. Well, it's 11 times to give you an opportunity to lose it, too.
Yeah, he'll be back there close to where his teammate Carl Edwards is. In the 99 car, David ends up 27th out of the 29 cars that's qualified, and most of it was right there in turn 8.
Let's take a look at where he had his misfortune, and it's too bad too, as we said. He had a fast car in practice.
Well, you're cresting a hill, you're making a hard right-hand turn, you're carrying a tremendous amount of speed right through there, and he's lucky that he was able to drive out of that.
Back to Matt.
A home game for his owner, and 1 year ago almost went home with the big prize here at Infineon. David Gilliland, car fast in practice. How good was it?
It was really good. You know, we did one lap and went back out there, tried to do another one, and a car had pulled out in front of us. So real proud of all the guys at TRG Motorsports. We bought this car a month ago and been thrashing on it, along with all the other ones we've been racing. But real proud to have Adobe Road Wineries on board this weekend, and Ultimate Limousine. Them guys really stepped up for us this weekend. Real proud to have them guys on the car. So car had good speed, just got to go out there and hit my marks here.
Good luck with you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Well, Matt, last year's pole sitter Casey Kane on the racetrack, and for that we go back to Kyle Petty.
I don't know why you're going to me. I'm seeing more of the racetrack as Casey comes through the slowest part. This is where the fast part starts right here. But this is where they feather the car. They drive the car with the accelerator through this area. You guys know it down there in the booth, you crew chiefs. This is where gearing is so important. Is this first gear? Is this second gear? Is the guy going to be full throttle? Is he going to be wide open, or is he going to be half throttle? So this sets you up for that left-hander that sends you into that right-hander back down to the stadium.
Kyle, this may not be a pole run like he had a year ago, but he's looking mighty good. 22nd quickest in practice. He's flirting with the front row or inside the top 5. Let's see if he can get off turn 11 here. Not a pole run, but she should be in the top 5, Jeff.
Should be in the top 5, but he gave up a lot right at the center, apex of turn 11. He couldn't quite get the car to turn and get back up under him so he could get back to the throttle, and that's where he gave it all back.
Casey Kane clocks in 5th. Brian Vickers still the man to beat. Coming up, Martin Truex Jr., Clint Boyer, Matt Kenseth, Patrick Carpentier. Back at the Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California, NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying brought to you by Subway. Martin Truex Jr., guys, tell you what, he had some pretty fast lap earlier in practice.
Yeah, he was 6th quickest. Of course, he won the Mexico City Nationwide Series race in 2005 down on a road course. That was our inaugural trip. And looks like he's going to back up what he ran in practice, Jeff.
I think he gave up just a little too much right there to exit 11. Again, you heard the car as he tried to launch. It spun the rear tires, and I think it hurt him. You know, still a good lap, but I thought for a second he had a shot to get in the top 5.
Martin Truex Jr., 6th overall. Let's go to Matt.
Steve, at least twice a year, the set heads get all jacked up when Boris set rolls out at least twice at Watkins Glen and Infineon. 3rd fastest Boris unsponsored race car. The go or go home section here. How aggressive can you be on your qualifying effort?
Not very aggressive. I mean, John Carter's put a lot of faith in me to drive this car, and we've been doing great so far, and this Ford Fusion's fast, so I need to back it down a little bit and just make sure I get in. If I can be in the top 15, I'll be happy. I just want to race on Sunday.
Boris said he's got a win in the trucks, a 2nd place in Nationwide, and a 3rd here in Sprint Cup on the road courses. Steve?
Thanks, Matt. Clint Boyer in the number 33 Cheerios Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. His turn to attack the racetrack, and we go back to Kyle.
I got to tell you guys something. I've not seen this much of the racetrack since I ran out of gas at the far end with 1 lap to go and had to walk back to the pits. It is amazing, and it's amazing how many fans have come out for qualifying. But this part of the racetrack, and we talked about it earlier, this part of the racetrack, you see the curbs. We don't talk about curbs on some of the other racetracks we run, but especially through this area right here. As you see Clint come out of this last corner, there's a curb right there on the inside. He comes back across inside, outside, outside, inside. And these curbs, as you see the car, as he hits them, will bounce the car from left to right. And if you get out of sequence and you're going left when you're supposed to be going right, you end up like that 6 car was, just dirt tracking around that final corner there.
Kyle, talk about how important it is to get your rhythm down through the S's and how you can make up a lot of times. We watched Clint get a little loose through turn 10.
Yeah, it is all rhythm up through here. And that's why, like I said to you guys before, is this the first gear area? Is this a second gear area? Is this a third gear area? Do you short shift? And so many guys do so many different things, whatever they're comfortable with. But it's all about rhythm. It's all about getting in a rhythm with your hands, with your feet, treating that throttle like there's an egg under it. You don't want to bust it, but you just want to give it just enough gas to pull off up the corner, not spin the rear tires, and be able to make the adjustments you need driver-wise, not from the pits, but driver-wise, to be able to set up for the next corner. Because if there's ever a racetrack where you've got to hit your marks, from up here at the top of the hill all the way back down to where you see those guys come into sight, headed into the final corner, those are the marks you got to hit.
Kyle, are you Twittering as you report?
I believe that gentleman there by you is.
I have to admit, he's wanting to take a picture. This guy wants to take a picture. But yes, I've been Twittering the whole time, so all my twits out there. Oh, I just fell while I was Twittering.
Oh, no! Quick, where's the camera?
No camera, no camera.
Quick, 911, Kyle Petty is down.
Sorry, Kyle Petty is down. Once again, at Infineon Speedway, Kyle Petty is down for the last time.
Down goes Petty.
But Kyle, I do want to ask you something. You know, we just interviewed Boris Said, we interviewed Max Pappas. You've been in that situation of being outside the top 35. That has to be a real challenge, knowing that you can't be too aggressive to overdrive your car, but you don't want to underdrive it, because both situations send you to the house.
Yeah, I've heard you guys talk about guys who are already in the race and whether they overdrove or underdrove. These guys that have to get in on time have to drive perfectly. They have to hit their marks, and there's so many places they can make mistakes. I've heard you guys talk about, as Matt goes by, I've heard you guys talk about these guys miss a corner and they lose 3/10, or they make a corner and they pick up 3/10. And let me tell you something, it's not going to come down to 3/10 making or breaking. It's going to come down to hundredths of a second on who goes home here today.
But Kyle, we already know you've already hit your mark.
I hit my mark right here. Right here. Right here. There's a hole right here. So any of you race fans out there, if you're sitting in this area, there's a hole. Bring something to put in it.
I'll tell you what, Matt Kenseth is working on being the fastest Ford. In fact, we don't even have a Ford in the top 10 right now. Looks like Matt Kenseth may get it in there at 9th quickest.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Good job, Matt Kenseth.
Well, just 2 more drivers, Patrick Carpentier and Dale Earnhardt Jr., who are locked in. Then knockout qualifying continues, and down goes Petty.
We love replays.
Down goes Petty. Take a look at the road course ringers coming up, because Patrick Carpentier and Dale Earnhardt Jr., the final drivers to qualify, who are locked into this show. Actually, Carpentier is locked in. Michael Waltrip voluntarily took himself out of the car because he said Carpentier gives that team a better shot to win.
And then he said, I'm a good road course racer, but Patrick Carpentier is much better.
A great road course racer.
Exactly. I don't think he's going to be happy with his lap. I think he tried maybe a little too hard to maybe bring his 55 car up to speed, and he's going to struggle right now.
Yeah, he's going to be back there with his teammate David Rudeman. David is the slowest of the 34 cars, and Patrick ends up 30th, so
just
he'll have his work cut out for him.
Wondering out loud if he just ran a conservative lap since he's in the show, or if he just really had problems.
I think he had issues. I think he tried too hard to try to show everybody what he could do, because he lost almost a second. Car's a little bit loose. Okay, so he overdrove the corner right there.
That's turn 2.
You know, once you mess it up there, I mean, it really kind of messes everything else up.
Matt Yoakum.
And Steve, you are seeing double in a way. There are 2 Jim B. Menards, Robbie Gordon prepared Toyotas enter for this race. P.J. Jones, how tough for you to get up to speed to knock off the rust in a situation like this where you don't run a lot?
Well, I mean, it's definitely tough. Didn't get to test. I mean, we ran a little bit at Laguna yesterday, but, Rob's cars are usually really, really good, and we're just struggling a little bit. We lost some time in practice because of oil core and 2 of them, so Didn't get very many laps. You know, getting acquainted with a new car, new people, it's tough, and having, you know, 8 laps to do it. So we'll see what happens. I think we can do it.
Usually very tough on the road courses. Finished 4th at Watkins Glen a couple years ago.
And I'm sure his owner, Robbie Gordon, is still scratching his head over his qualifying run right now. Robbie's 20th in that 7 car.
Not a concern.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 35th and final driver who is locked into the show.
And just struggled the entire practice session. That car was all over the place. He was 40th quickest, and I'm not sure this qualifying run's going to be a whole lot better.
Earnhardt Jr. has one top 10 start here, 3rd in 2007.
I mean, he is a second off of what just Matt Kenseth ran from the start-finish line back to turn 9.
But Larry, I got to admit, the changes they've made during this period between the practice session and qualifying, the car, at least for the first time today, looks like it's up underneath him better than what it was.
Just 29th overall for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that AMP Chevrolet. Hey, when we come back, knockout qualifying starts. We'll see Tom Hubert, Max Pappas, and David Gilliland. 4 drivers from that list will not start Sunday's Toyota Save Mart 350. Go or go homers, drivers listed there. Knockout qualifying has started here at the Infineon Raceway in Sonoma. Tom Hubert aboard the 27 car, owned by Kurt Shelmerdine.
He was the slowest of the go-or-go homers. And what's interesting about Tom Hubert, and he hopes he doesn't have to do this function on Sunday, he normally changes tires on the 36 car of Tommy Baldwin.
Well, Larry, all I got to say, he gave himself at least a fighting chance. He picked up right at almost a second from what he practiced at.
Hubert has only 11 Cup starts. 6 of them have come here at the Infineon Raceway.
There's several tire changers that can go drive a race car. I'm just not sure there's a lot of race car drivers that can go change a tire.
I heard that.
But I bet Matt Yoakum can change a tire.
Absolutely, did it a couple of times in the old IROC days, and there's one guy that's definitely a wheel man when it comes to the road courses, especially Ron Fellows from Canada. And if you go to Max, or you go to Boris, or you definitely go to Ron Fellows to learn and pick up on the nuances of road course racing. But Ron, for you come in, you run once or twice a year. We talked to several drivers about knocking the rust off. You're the last guy out, though, so how tough do you push it?
Well, I think we've got to be concerned about making sure we just make the race, and that's what we're focused on. And, the guys have worked hard. This is the first time we drove the car was this morning, so we got our hands full. But these guys have done yeoman's work, and we're happy to be here. We'll see what we can do.
He's gone to victory lane in the trucks, the Nationwide, now looking for a Cup win.
And I can't help but think a few years ago that Ron was out here driving for Cal Wells, the 32 car, the Tide car, and he was so conservative he almost missed the race.
Here's a guy right now who kind of started off a little bit maybe conservative, but keeps building as further he gets down the course right here. If Max Pappas can get through, I think, turn 10, he's got a pretty fair lap here going, guys. Good turn 10 right there. Now it's all up to turn 11.
Well, again, these guys, their night up there wrestling with Brian Vickers, Kyle Busch, Marcos Ambrose. All they're trying to do is beat each other. We will have 4 teams that will not make the show. I think that's going to put him in pretty good shape, Steve.
I do too right there. He picked up again. He's right there almost what he practiced at earlier. He slowed down a little bit, but I think that 78 flat is going to look pretty sweet.
Kind of missed his turn.
I think he wanted to run a second one. I can do better. Give me one more.
He's still mad about Egypt beating Italy in soccer.
I'm telling you, I don't think I'd have told him, man.
David Gilliland, California native, one of 11 California drivers trying to make the field.
And he's one of 2 or 3 drivers that's actually doing double duty here this weekend, running both the Camping World West race tomorrow and as well as the Sprint Cup Series. Are hoping to run the Sprint Cup Series race. Joey Logano's doing it, as well as Boris said.
Now, to me, Larry, I like what David did. He didn't try to overdrive 1 or top of the hill right there. Gave up a little bit of time coming around 3, but He just kept trying to get the car faster and faster, but now he's starting to pick it up and really get after it here.
This is going to be a good lap. I know we still got a half a lap to go. Remember, this is the man that finished second to Kyle Busch a year ago.
He is definitely flirting with the top 5 starting position to get down through these S's.
And you know, we were talking during our practice show, this team just needs a couple of good, solid runs because they're only 161 points out of the top 35.
Look what he gave up when he missed that one corner and the car got up on 2 wheels, slid around a little bit. Here it is sliding around through 10 again. He's giving up more, buddy. This could be dangerous.
He just needs to get through turn 11 just with a decent corner.
He nailed the upper end of this course, but all of a sudden the S's and turn 10 and 11 could wind up costing him if he's not smooth.
I think he'll be down in the minute 17-second bracket, so he should be in pretty good shape with that.
He'll land right next to Max Pappas, 28th overall. Coming up, we'll see Dave Blaney, Joe Nemechek, and can Boris Said knock Brian Vickers off the pole?
Boris said what?
Boris said yes. NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying on speed is presented by the new Toasty Torpedo Quiznos. Toasty. Brian Vickers still the pole sitter as Dave Blaney, 66 car.
He was 7th quickest of the go-or-go-homers earlier, and his owner, Phil Parsons, has a birthday coming up this Sunday, on Father's Day.
Fabulous Phil's up in Milwaukee.
With Michael Waltrip.
Who's all fizzed up. Rick Allen. Adam Alexander and X-Ray Dunlap. Chris Devoto with the 7th. Can't forget Krista.
What, Dave Blaney's on a pretty solid run here. Dave has 8 starts here. His best finish was 19th back in 2005, but he's flirting with a top 20 run. This would definitely put him in good shape to race on Sunday.
Yes, sir. 18th overall for Dave Blaney in his Toyota.
The fastest of the go-or-go-homers by quite a bit.
18th of 39 drivers who have clocked in here at Infineon. Up next, we have Joe Nemechek, Boris Said, and Chris Cook. And Kyle Petty, where are you now, and are you standing?
Yeah, I am standing. I'm back on asphalt again. I love asphalt when you come to a road course, man. You don't want to get off in the dirt.
Dirt is bad.
I'm on
asphalt is good.
baby. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, now, here's what I meant. Now we saw, I think it was Gilliland. You saw him get out of shape where we talked about, that's where I was before. If you get out of shape and get out of your rhythm up there, it messes up these last 2 corners. You guys are talking about these people being conservative down through here. Let me tell you something. Pappas carried the left front tire about 2 foot off the ground all the way down through here. Now, when the 66 car Blaney came down through here, he smoked it, which meant it was a little bit lighter. But these guys are not being as conservative as what they're letting on they are. This is a critical part of the racetrack because if you don't get through this part really good, it doesn't set you up for the next corner, which gets you into the final corner of the racetrack. That's where all the passing is done, almost all the passing during the day, during the race. But this is a critical. We've seen guys run off in the dirt here 10 million times, it seems like. We've seen people fall down like me, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, Kyle, right now we got Joe Nemechek headed at you coming down through the S's now, and he is right in the mix of this whole go-home group.
And Nemechek can drive a road course, but this is where we saw Gilliland get out of shape. As you see the cars, you're on the outside, it's off camber, boom. That left front's up in the air, and you begin to smoke it. You see that thing just lock a little bit. Then you got to get it into that final corner. You drift across the curb and go all the way out. In all honesty, they need about another 15 foot of pavement right there to make a driver feel really comfortable, because when you drop those left sides off, it gets really ugly.
Now, if Joe can end up on his qualifying run just 1 spot better than where he's at right now, I think he'll be in pretty good shape, because that's right there with David Gilliland and Max Pappas, and he beats these 2 guys. He's not in yet, but I think that's going to put him in great shape. That will lock Dave Blaney into the show.
Got to beat 4, and he's already beat 3.
So Dave Blaney is locked in. The final drivers, that guy right there, Boris Said in the 08 car, then Chris Cook, P.J. Jones, Brian Semo, Scott Speed, Brandon Ash, and Ron Fellows.
Watching Boris, he just kind of made a nice, big, wide arc right there as he gets ready to come around there and take the green flag.
He was 3rd quickest of everybody, all 47 cars earlier, by far the fastest go-home.
Pole sitter in 2003, finished 6th here in 2004, his best finish in 9 Infineon starts.
Now, Kyle Petty talked about when you come up the top of the hill there, how you either cut the corner or kind of miss that curve. He missed the curve there. He's missed the curve. Now, this time he basically straddles it, drove right over it. It didn't upset the car the way he was able to do it. It's a little bit like what they do there in turn 7. He didn't hit real hard there, but again, very smooth. Look how smooth he is. And look at the tracker right now. It's paying him off dividends because he's taking care of the tires, taking care of his car. He's on a pole run at least coming off of turn 7.
See how you get through these S's and down there in the fast turn 10 and the slowest of the corners turn 11.
High-speed part of the racetrack.
Guys, all I know, if this is a conservative run, I'd hate to see if they pulled a hand grenade and he pulled the pin on that hand grenade that this Doberman likes to carry.
That's right. He said that at Watkins Glen a few years ago. I'm like a Doberman with a grenade in my mouth. I'm spectacular.
Unless he just really messes up here, we know he's definitely going to race on Sunday, and it's going to be a top 10 run for Boris said it looks like.
He said he'd be happy with the top 15. He should be elated right now. 9th quickest.
So Boris said and Dave Blaney are locked in to the show. Coming up, Chris Cook, P.J. Jones, and Brian Semo. Brian Vickers is on the pole. Back at the Infineon Raceway, NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying brought to you by Subway. Looking at Chris Cook in a Long John Silver's Dodge. Larry, you talked about him being an instructor here at the Infineon Raceway.
And has worked with a lot of drivers here, in particular this year, getting ready for 2009. Joey Logano worked with him for a solid day or two with a 2-seater ASA late model type car. Well,
guys,
he did miss it.
He's missed it, and it's got him all messed up coming down through these S's.
Yeah, I just don't know if he's going to be able to recover. And again, as we mentioned earlier, unlike qualifying at the oval tracks, it's not the best of 2 laps. It's 1 lap and 1 lap only.
4 drivers will not make this field.
And I get a feeling it's a little maybe premature, but I get a feeling that Chris Cook will be one of those 4 drivers, it looks like, because I think he's going to be the slowest of all 42 cars that's qualified so far, but that will lock Joe Nemechek into the show.
So Boris said, Dave Blaney, and Joe Nemechek safely in.
This is coming through the S's, and then right here, turn 8. It's a hard right-hander going downhill. He got off track there and never did recover from that. He's lucky he didn't lose it.
No, he did a really good job of controlling the 37 car, but still, he gave up way too much time.
Let's go to Ralph.
You know, Joe Nemechek just walked up here to talk to Dave Blaney. He said you were still shaking. Is it really that intense?
No, it's just it is when you got 1 lap and you can't screw up a corner or you might miss a race. That's the nerve-wracking thing. And, you know, you kind of got to maybe take the entrances easy and shoot for hard exits. You know, you just can't mess up a corner and take a chance of missing a race. And that's what we struggle with every week.
You know, guys, we were just sitting here counting up all the racetracks around here that Dave Blaney won at in sprint cars. Calistoga, Chico, Santa Maria, San Jose. He won all over this place. Hopefully one day he can add Sonoma in that as well.
I'm sure right now you can just see the look on his face. I guarantee if you'd have interviewed him before that qualifying run, you'd have never got any type of a smile out of him.
No, but he brings up a real interesting point about how you can attack a racetrack, and that is you can either slow it down a little bit and make sure you get in the corner like you need to and then power off, or you can try to drive it in a little deeper and hopefully the thing will hook. But right now, he did the right thing. He made a really nice smooth lap. He's qualified for this race, and that's what matters. We take a look here at P.J. Jones, who's been flirting with getting into the show easy, but now he's right there on the edge of not making it.
Just wants to stay to the left of that green line. Right now, that green line represents David Gilliland in the 71 car.
Throttle back. You're going to make it, buddy. Let me go.
And he was very borderline with the way he ran in practice earlier. This lap here is not going to get him in for now. It won't lock him out just yet, but it's not going to get him in, but it will lock David Gilliland into the show.
They're running out of time here at Sonoma, the Infineon Raceway. Stay with us, see if Brian Vickers can hang on to the pole. NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying on speed is presented by Subway. Try the tangy new Subway Tuscan Chicken Melt, the newest fresh fit choice. Subway, eat fresh. final drivers clocking in here at the Infineon Raceway Road Course, 1.99 miles around. Brian Semo, the 36 car owned by Tommy Baldwin.
And he was right in the middle of the go-homers earlier. He was 6th quickest of those 12 cars. Brian has 4 starts here, best finished of 10th back in 2005.
And he's another one of those guys who's got a lot of experience on road courses. He knows how to keep it on the pavement. He knows how to be smooth. But right now, he needs to figure out how to be a little bit faster. And right now, that's not going to help right there.
No,
that's not going to help at all.
This is a bad lap that has gone worse. And I mean,
that's an engine.
He's blown an engine up.
Yes, he has.
So we know that this 36 car will be one of the cars that will not make the show.
Now, Larry,
we lost upper end.
I thought for a second he maybe overdrove that corner. I'm just wondering if he was losing the engine as he was downshifting, that is, getting into turn 10, turn 11, that is, what it did to that engine.
Well, NASCAR will send some officials out to make sure there's no fluid on the track.
And you know, I hate this for Tommy Baldwin so much because they put so much effort into this. This is coming out of turn 10 down to turn 11. You downshift, and right there, you could see where the engine let go, and actually looked like it got a little bit of liquid under the rear tire.
You're going to say it definitely an illusion, looking like it was brake smoke, but all along it was an engine.
But I know they put so much effort into this. They went to VIR and tested a couple of weeks ago. Of course, they were the only car to miss the show at Michigan last week with Mike Skinner. And bringing Brian Semo here with his road course capability, they had so much hopes of making this show.
So Scott Speed is scheduled to go out next, but NASCAR is going to make sure that the track is all right. So Scott Speed will back up, and we will take this opportunity to go back to Ralph.
Well, we're down here with Joe Nemechek. PJ Jones is down here. It's okay, PJ. You can join us because we're all tight. It's really tight with you guys right now, too, because we were just talking about the 36 blown an engine, and that is a huge thing, Joe, because for you guys in a zone like this, that's make or break.
It definitely is. You know, Tommy's in the same ballpark we are, and trying to hunt sponsors all the time. And man, we're doing the best job we can with what we have. Got some great people. Still looking for a sponsor here for Sonoma, but good things. You know, we didn't practice very good today, and we started off awful, and we just kept working on it, and didn't get to make my last run, and then we threw a couple more changes at it, and it drove good. I made a couple mistakes out there, but big improvements for the team.
PJ, you've got so many laps here. A break like this now could slide you into this race. How big of a difficult was it for you on this lap out here in your qualifying run?
Well, we were a disaster in practice. We had a bunch of failures. I think I only did like 6 laps of practice. So, I mean, it was, you know, when I went out there to qualify, I really didn't know what I had. And I was just telling the guys I probably left a half a second easy on the table, just not knowing, you know, and that's the hard thing. You know, you know, we didn't show up here just at a last minute kind of a deal. And you know, you got 6 or 8 laps to get in practice to get it right for just 1 lap of qualifying. And your whole weekend is based on this 1 lap. So it's tough. It's tough to do this every Friday. I mean, I sympathize with Joe and all these guys and doing this every week. It's, you know, it's tough.
Your dad was one of the old original ringers when they used to race at Riverside back in the days. What's the best story he ever told you about racing when he was a ringer like you are now?
Well, he was, I guess NASCAR took away some tires from him or something like that, and he made him start dead last. He set the track record and made him start dead last, and he got up to the lead and took the lead, and he rolled down the window and flipped Bill Sr. the bird. So that was probably the best story at Riverside that I've heard from my dad.
Parnelli Jones, he's a living legend.
We had him on trackside a couple years ago, and that was just a great opportunity to have Parnelli on the show.
Great treat.
Yeah, it was.
Well, NASCAR works on this racetrack to make sure it's dry for Scott Speed, Brandon Ash, and Ron Fellows. We'll take a break. Sprint Cup qualifying is brought to you by Subway. Stay with us. Is Kyle in there? Where's Kyle? Back underway here at the Infineon Raceway. Scott Speed on the racetrack, and he was 3rd quickest of the go-home cars. But Kyle Petty, I'm curious, how difficult for a guy like Scott Speed that doesn't have a lot of experience to have to sit there in his race car and wait for the track to be cleaned up?
Okay, the waiting is not bad. You could wait wait 6 days. It's the not knowing what's on the racetrack because they didn't put anything on the racetrack. So you don't know whether they missed something, they didn't see something, and you got to go through that hard. Now the advantage he has is he got to go through it easy. He got to pull out on the backstretch, come down through here, and he did a reconnaissance. Believe me, when he came through this corner, he barreled it off in here pretty hard and locked up the left front brake just to see if there was anything on the racetrack. So he knows there's nothing here. So at least he knows that part. The waiting's not that bad, but the not knowing is always bad.
And I'm going to tell you what, he has taken a top 10 run, and he may not make the show all over there in top 10. He was well in the top 10 until he got to turn 10.
Turn 10 killed him, and he had a wonderful run going, Larry. You pointed it out. He got in there, they're so hot. Car wheel hopped, slid off the racetrack, and right now, he's going to have to be waiting for the final 2 cars to find out if he makes the race. Bad news for Scott Speed is good news for P.J. Jones.
I mean, what an awesome run he was on all the way to turn 10.
He does bump Chris Cook out of the field.
You'll see it right here. Clips the rumble strips. You can see the car was a little bit loose. He gets all the way in the dirt, drove through it, but again, he went from top 10 to right now 37th quickest.
That's as close, Larry, as you'll come to wrecking a car over there in turn 10 and not. Look how he gets off the course. See that wall coming up in front of him? He gets off the brake, is able to drive away from it, back on the course. But again, that's not good. And to me, guys, not good for Brandon Ash because he just came through turn 10. I think he saw that debris and kicked up on the racetrack. That's not good for him either.
So it's Brandon Ash and Ron Fellows right now versus Scott Speed and Tom Hubert. As you mentioned, P.J. Jones now locked into the show in the second Robbie Gordon car.
Brian Semo, Chris Cook, the 2 drivers who have been bumped out.
Now, Brandon was 11th quickest of the 12 go-homers earlier practice. He has a couple of starts here, 2004 and 2006.
He'll try to create one himself. He's now working his way into turn 7.
You can hear that wheel spin, and you're all the way down in first gear right there in a lot of cases off of turn 7.
Coming down through his S's, headed back down to where Kyle Petty is. Kyle, here's one of those guys that's going to have to nail turn 10 and 11 if he wants to make this race.
Yeah.
Tell you what, he's going to be awfully borderline if he can get through turn 11, Kyle.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what, this kid and this family worked their rear ends off to get to be in a cup race. Yeah, and, you know, you're pulling for him. I know there's a lot of guys out there that run regular that's pulling against him, but you got to pull for the effort that Brandon Ash and those guys. And he looked good down here through turn 11.
He does it, Kyle. He is in the show. He barely beat Scott Speed, but that's all he needed to do was barely beat Scott Speed. Right now, Brandon Ash is 37th quickest. I'm sure he doesn't care because he's in.
But that does bump Tom Hubert out of the show. And Ron Fellows is the final driver to qualify, one of the best road racers in the world.
Well, that's you're right about that as we watch Ron Fellows get ready to start his qualifying run. Go back to Brandon Ash. He was iffy all the way down to turn 10 and 11. A lot of guys have lost the qualifying lap there. We saw Scott Speed do that. He did it perfect. He made up ground in 10. He made up ground in 11. Got himself in this race. Great job right there under pressure by that young man in the L2 car.
I tell you, right now, coming to take the green, Ron Fellows, his car did not want to turn down in turn 11, and he was bad loose off of turn 11. We talk a lot about camber, and that's, you know, how much the front tires are angled in at the top, and you run negative camber in both front tires here, leaned in, and what I see with this 09 cars, I've seen with a lot of cars, a lot of negative camber. That helps the car turn left and right.
Scott Speed nervously hanging on to see if he makes the show. Brian Vickers
out of the field here this afternoon.
Anxiously waiting to see if he captures the pole position.
Boy, what two different ends of the spectrum for Red Bull Racing. One guy would be on the pole and one guy would end up going home all the way back to Mooresville, North Carolina.
But all because of one corner. You messed up one corner and it basically ruined their day as far as 82 concerned. And right now for Ron Fellow, he's inside this thing, but he's not done too fast enough as far as coming in here. And Kyle, again, it's going to come down to turn 10 and 11.
Yeah, it's going to come down to turn 10 and 11. But like you said, Fellows didn't make good time through 11. But I'm going to tell you something. I think he was heating up that front tire. He come in here and locked him and just turned the wheel hard to the left just to put some heat in that left front tire to get him a little go or get him a little grip when he got to the top of the hill. I don't think he missed it as bad as you thought he did.
He's going to be in good shape, Kyle, because looks like right now he's going to be 29th quickest, so he will race, and that will send Scott Speed to the house.
So Scott Speed, Tom Hubert, Chris Cook, and Brian Semo, the 4 unfortunate drivers and their teams who will not make the Toyota Save Mart field for Sunday's race.
And there's nothing that's going to feel any worse than to be over 3,000 miles away from home, having to go back after missing a race here.
All Toyota front row, Brian Vickers, his 4th pole position of 2009, and Kyle Busch, the defending champion of this race.
And Marcos Ambrose back there in 3rd in another Toyota in the 47 car.
Matt Yoakum.
And catching up with Brian Vickers, congratulations from his crew chief, Ryan Pemberton. So 2 poles on the speedways, a short track pole, and now a road course pole in 2009, really showcasing how diverse your team has become.
Yeah, it really is. I'm so proud of how far this team's come. You know, Red Bull, Toyota, Ryan, what they brought to the table. We still got to finish it on Sunday. I mean, that's where it really matters most. But it's pretty cool to get a pole on a road course. I mean, to have 4 this year is special in its own right. But to put it on the pole here is pretty awesome.
Gives you so many different options as well, strategy-wise, with the double file restarts and such come Sunday.
Absolutely. You know, hopefully we can stay up front, because I tell you, I think the double file restart was a great idea. That was really NASCAR going out of the way to be there for the fans. The fans wanted it. We gave it to them. I think it was a great idea at places like Michigan and Pocono. It's going to be a mess. It is going to be a mess here. I've never had the initial start double file here and not somebody crashed or tore something up. So it's going to be exciting, to say the least.
All right, good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Steve?
Thank you, Matt. Larry Mack, where'd you say we ought to put the cameras, turn 2?
Up in turn 2, lock them down, and you'll get all the highlight reel you want right up there.
Marcus Ambrose in row 2 for Michael Waltrip Racing alongside Tony Stewart.
How about our boy from trackside, Elliott Sadler? Great qualifying effort right there by the 19 car.
Yeah, 2 of the Richard Petty Motorsports cars there. You see Casey Kane, he'll start 5th in that 9 car, and the 2 Fords, of course, said Matt Kenseth on row 5. Look at Joey Logano, the rookie, row 6.
How about row 7? Former winners here, Jeff Gordon. I mean, the man who owns this place along with Mark Martin. I mean, there's going to be some comers and goers, but there's also going to be some pushes and shovings.
Dave Blaney, the 2nd quickest go-home car, back in the 19th position in the 66.
Don't forget, coming up directly after this broadcast, in about a minute from now, we're going to take you to Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
You know what I'm looking
the
at?
Camping World Truck Series.
It's going to be a great race over there, but you know what I'm seeing down through this whole qualifying effort? I see excitement coming out of it when they drop the green flag. There's too many good road racers like Ron Fellows and Kurt Busch that are back here starting deep in the field. But strategy and good hard road racing experience right now is going to come into play.
Well, you saw Clint Boyer, the 33 car. He's finished 4th the last 2 races here, so he really likes this place. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Burton all the way back on row 18.
Carl Edwards. Got to dig deep, man, if you want to run good here this weekend.
And how about old Brandon Ash? Like Kyle Petty said, his dad, Ed Ash, and Brandon, that whole group, they work so hard. It's not a whole group, it's a very small group.
Yeah, and as Kyle said, admire the effort. So Scott Speed, Tom Hubert, Chris Cook, Brian Semo, unfortunately, will not make the show. Great look at the beautiful scenery here in Sonoma, California. From the Infineon Raceway, Brian Vickers captures the pole position. Thanks for being with us here on Speed. We go from Infineon to Milwaukee.